June, Via Verde roof garden, and we've got a beautiful head of broccoli. This is green comet broccoli, and it's ready to harvest. This is the perfect time for the broccoli to be harvested. It looks just like the broccoli that you would get in the supermarket. These are the florets, or the small flowers. You do not want them to open up. You want to harvest the broccoli before those florets open. So I'm going to use my harvesting knife, and I'm going to very carefully remove the broccoli by slicing it. And there you have a really gorgeous head of broccoli from the Via Verde roof garden. You'll see there's another smaller broccoli here. We'll give that a little more time to develop. We have another one over here. But you couldn't get a more perfect head of broccoli right here on the rooftop. Another crop that we're harvesting here in early June on the Via Verde rooftop is mustard green. This is called vitamin green, and it's an amazing pungent mustard that I'm harvesting with my harvesting knife, and I'm taking the largest leaves first. And what I wanted to point out was, as a Via Verde garden member, when you come up to the roof garden and we're harvesting, you'll find a roll of plastic bags in the tool shed, in the toolbox on the roof. You are welcome to take those harvest bags and harvest. Like right now it's mustard. There's a lot of mustard, there's a lot of collards, there's Swiss chard, there's arugula. And you can harvest your crop and take it away in these harvest bags. So as I said, this is my very spicy mustard green that you can take and prepare as a nice salad in your home, and feel free to collect the harvest in these harvesting bags that are in the toolbox. When you harvest, we have a scale on the roof, and the scale needs to be used when you harvest so we know how much we're producing. And looking at the scale to show that this is 1 pound 2 ounces of mustard green. This way at the end of the year we'll have a total amount of pounds that we harvested from the roof garden. What I have here is the very popular cilantro, which is also coriander when it goes to seed. So this plant is cilantro when you harvest the leaves and the stems, and you use it in many Latin dishes to spice up soups and algo comidas. But when it goes to seed, it's coriander, and coriander is the seed that's often used in a lot of confectionery baking goods. But again, because the weather is so warm, the cilantro is growing so fast that it's starting to go to seed. I see the flowers, and that's not good because we want the cilantro leaves. And I'm going to be removing the stalks so it does not go to seed, and we continue getting leaves from the cilantro without going to seed. What I also have in this bed is thyme, which is in flower. This is a beautiful perennial herb. Many of you know thyme. It's used with chicken and fish dishes, and it has that very aromatic scent to it. Further back we have New Zealand spinach, and this is an edible, of course, leaf spinach. It's very tolerant of the warm weather, and New Zealand spinach does really well on the roof at Via Verde. What we have here is a young Ladybird Beetle, which is a ladybug in the early stages of development. So when you see these insects in the garden, you want to keep them in the garden because they eat the aphids. Aphids are small, flying and gray-bodied insects, and also green, that can attack the plants and suck the juice out of them. Well, these ladybird beetles love to eat aphids. So wherever you see these in the garden, you want to try and leave them there. We've released ladybird beetles in the garden to control the pests, the aphids. So this is a good example of a beneficial insect that we want to keep in the garden here at Via Verde.
So Sean, what is it that you're doing?
Right now we're actually pruning the herb, well actually the parsley. Just because once it turns to flower, it quickly seeds, and when it seeds, it doesn't taste as good as if it wasn't seeded. I mean, ideally, you shouldn't have it flower either, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference. Like I said, ideally, you should actually cut it when it's usually about this high, because every time you start cutting it, it doesn't get so stemmy, so it gets to like a nice bush actually, which is really.
When we talk about beneficial insects in the garden, the earthworm is key. So if you see any earthworms in the garden, these are very important for the soil. So their maneuvering in the soil creates tunnels which allows air and water to go through the soil. Earthworms have to stay wet or else they will die, and I want to cover them right away. So they come closer to the surface when they're wet. But if you see any earthworms in the soil, that's a sign of a healthy soil. The summer crops, the warm season crops, like the soil to be warmed up before they start growing. So things like tomato, pepper, eggplant, okra, those are all your warm season crops that we're putting in early June, now that the soil has warmed up nicely. These are some okra plants. Many of you know that okra likes it very hot, does better in the south where it's much warmer, but on the Via Verde roof it'll do really well. Last year we harvested about 70 pounds of okra, and we're sure we'll get a good harvest this year as well. But again, the okra must go where it's warm, and we'll be planting the okra right here in this bed where the parsley is. Here at Via Verde, we use the landscape fabric to keep the soil moist. So we cut through the landscape fabric just like this. We expose the space for planting. And then my friend Mickey Mouse helps me, and we remove the seedling, as I said, gently from the tray. And with Mickey Mouse assisting on my trowel, I'll plant the okra right here, and this will do really well next to the collards and the cabbage, which we'll be harvesting, and the okra will grow about 3 feet high. You grow stuff that your family likes in the garden, and here at Via Verde, at the garden club meetings, we've asked what people would like to have growing, and that's what we've selected for the garden. So these are marigolds, and marigolds are good for keeping these microscopic worms in the soil called nematodes that can damage some of the vegetables. So these marigolds will be planted along the edge to prevent root knot nematodes from attacking. The root knot nematode does not like these marigolds, so it helps to plant the marigolds around your vegetable garden. So what we have here is the young Ladybird Beetle. As I was mentioning, there are beneficial insects in the garden, and this is what people typically call the ladybug, but it's actually a beetle, so the correct name is a Ladybird Beetle, not ladybug. Bugs are different from beetles. But here you see what a lot of people don't realize is a young Ladybird Beetle. So it looks a little like a black and orange alligator. That's what they refer to it as. So if you see this in the garden, it's actually on the mustard greens. You don't want to kill it or remove it because this will turn into a Ladybird Beetle or ladybug that will eat the aphids in the garden and protect the mustard green from the aphids. This is a beneficial insect in the early stages of development. So this is kohlrabi, and it's an interesting vegetable, again, high in vitamins, and you peel it and you boil it, and it's delicious. It's like a combination between a turnip and a potato. But this part is the part you eat. You remove the greens and you peel it like a potato and you boil it like a turnip, and it tastes like a potato turnip. So I'm going to give you 3 kohlrabi to try and tell us what you think of the kohlrabi.
Okay.
Great.
Great. I'm going to enjoy that steam tonight.
And I hope you like the kohlrabi. I like it. I think it has a nice taste. So this is the kohlrabi we just harvested for Emmitt. He's going to steam it or boil it after he peels it. I'm just weighing it, and we have 1 pound, exactly 1 pound of kohlrabi that I'm going to add into our logbook for June 4th.
Excellent. I'm going to enjoy that.
So you've got mustard, you've got broccoli, and you've got some Swiss chard. It's like you went to the grocery store, Emmitt.
Absolutely.